Hello, everyone. Jared Pixley for Pixley for President again, doing another episode as usual. I know I've missed a couple weeks recently. There's been so much going on, so many different ideas that I just have trouble sitting down to write a single, episode, single script. And I'm noticing I probably should start cleaning up my background a little. So, first, just to begin, remember in the box below are all of my links to social media, to my book on Amazon. There is a donation link. I have added a link to my Discord server. If anyone would like to join, it's a little lonely over there. So, any donations, $5 or $10 would be I'd be very grateful. The cost of getting the word out is enormous. So, if you could contribute just a little bit, I would be very thankful. Between the annual server upkeep, advertising on Amazon, and all sorts of other different expenses out there. So, okay, a couple weeks ago, I talked about Trump's war against the press. Since then, Trump and Hegseth have fired Eric Slavin, the head of the Stars and Stripes, the military newspaper. The former editor has suggested it was probably or possibly done because they reported on the conditions of the USS Abraham Lincoln, where it's been deployed for 240 days in a combat situation. Food is, they have not been getting resupplied because the base that they got resupplied from was destroyed by Iran. Conditions are deteriorating. Mental health issues are increasing. The Middle East reporter Laura Court and publisher Max Lederer were also fired at the same time. Slavin worked for the Stars and Stripes for 21 years, and Lederer has worked for 19 years. So these are not partisan officials. They are career employees. So just to show, he is still continuing his war against the press. So moving on to this week's theme. I'm sure that everyone has heard about the chlorospora outbreak that spread via lettuce. It's given people explosive diarrhea, or as some people have dubbed it, Trumperia. And I think I might continue to use that. The outbreak began back in May. The CDC has reported almost 14,000 confirmed cases in 47 states, with another 10,000 cases that are currently being investigated. And it has resulted in 2 deaths. On August 13th, the FDA discovered that the source of the outbreak is Taylor Farms. The fact that the outbreak began 3 months ago and we're just now finding its source, I find somewhat concerning. During the same 3-month period last year, there were only 1,000 cases of chlorospora. So things have gotten 25 times worse. Now, they have investigated the leading theory is that the farm, the specific farm owned by Taylor Farms, was using contaminated water to water their crops, and that has spread the chlorospora. On top of this, the FDA has issued a Class 1 recall on tens of millions of eggs, as 98 people across 17 states have contracted salmonella. Several people have been hospitalized, but there have been no deaths reported as of yet. And from when I put this out, I wrote this script about a week ago. So if you've bought eggs from Kroger's or Brookshire grocery stores, you should check and see if they have been recalled. Whole Foods Market has announced a recall on their salsa and guacamole over potential salmonella contamination. The peppers used have been implicated in an outbreak that has sickened 345 people. Now, it's not proven that their food is contaminated, they're just worried, and so that they've recalled it. There is also an E. coli outbreak in July linked to frozen blueberries. And bean sprouts have been recalled across 15 states. At this point last year, there have been 16 food recalls. So far this year, 2026, we have had 19. We are at a 5-year high. And I say that because I can only find numbers for the last 5 years. I could probably find further back, but it's just too much work. So looking at this, the question is, why have we seen such a rise in foodborne illnesses this year? Why are things so much worse than last year or the year before? I think the year before there was only 13 food recalls by this point. Well, obvious source to point the finger at is the Department of Health and Human Services, which includes the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, and the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. They lost 22,000 people under Trump's orders. And the Department of Agriculture lost 17,000 employees. Prior to this, the FDA had about 400 food safety inspectors to monitor 36,000 food processing facilities. Now, I'm sure you can do the math, but that means each inspector needs to visit about 100 different factories a year. So one every 3 days. Well, rounding down, probably one every 4 days. They had been begging for more people, and the department was failing to meet their quotas. Now, that was back under Biden. So that was the situation when Trump took over. They didn't have enough people to meet their quotas. Trump comes in, lays off lots of people. Now they have even fewer people. And so they're falling even farther short of their quotas. So your food is not being inspected like it should be. The Department of Agriculture monitors the farmlands. They had a rule that farmers were not supposed to use water contaminated with manure to water their crops, because that is how you spread foodborne illness. Now they don't have the people they need to follow up on that and other regulations that have also been rolled back. So we have fewer safety inspectors, and we've rolled back the food safety regulations. Now, Trump has done away with the Clean Water Act, he has done away with the Clean Air Act, and he's done away with countless others. And the memes are going around, but I'll just bring it up here. This was the plan. This is actually what's in Project 2025. The plan was that they kill 1 million people, I think it was, by getting rid of vaccinations and getting rid of food security. Get rid of the cures for the disease and spread the diseases more. Kill off the people. It's eugenics. That was what's written in 2025. I believe it was chapter 10, but don't quote me on that. But it's online. You can look it up. And most of those people are in the administration right now. Stephen Miller was part of it. He's one of Trump's advisors. I believe J.D. Vance actually wrote a part of the book. He's the vice president. Yeah. Now, the Food and Drug Administration lost about 4,000 people. people in 2025, and then another 500 people this year. The Center for Disease Control lost about 3,000. This included the team that determines what strains of flu to include in the annual flu shot. Training new food safety inspectors can take up to 2 to 3 years, so we're not going to replace them tomorrow. Even if we hired 400 new food safety inspectors tomorrow, they won't be ready to go solo until the next president takes office. Now, let's not forget about the screwworms in our cattle. The U.S. government was spending a few $1 million a year. I think it was like 7 or 9 million, somewhere in that area. Single-digit million a year to stop screwworms at our borders. We bred and released sterilized males to mate with the female screwworms. Screwworm flies only mate once, so this would ensure that they did not lay any eggs. However, Trump cut that program. And now, when we're at a 75-year low on cattle, we now have a screwworm outbreak. They lay their eggs in open sores, and the worms literally screw into the meat, ruining cattle. Because of this loss, it has driven beef prices even higher than they were already at. Our efforts to stop screwworms had worked for 60 years. So it wasn't a fly-by-night plan. It's generational. We have had generations working on this, perfecting it, and it worked. We had virtually no screwworms in this country until Trump decided to cut it. Now, this is what happens when you have a man who has never paid a bill in charge, along with a man who enjoys picking up roadkill for dinner. Now, we need a president that understands how government should work in the White House. A president that will appoint a real doctor to head Health and Human Services. We need to fund the measures that stop these outbreaks. We need to hire back all the researchers, all the toxicologists, and all the food safety inspectors. And not just hire back the ones that were fired, we need to increase the staffing so that we have enough people to reach the quotas that we have instituted. Now, I want to be clear that not everything in this is this administration's fault. In fact, most of these foodborne illnesses and the glass, I forgot to mention the glass in the bread, would have been there without them. The screwworms have been in Mexico for decades. The administration's cuts just let things get worse. They let the screwworms pull further north. They let the foodborne outbreaks spread before they were detected. The salmonella would have been there, the E. coli would have been there, the chlorospora would have been there. Just if we had enough food safety inspectors, we could have noticed it sooner. We would have still had probably the 19 outbreaks we've had so far. But the number of people hospitalized would have probably been lower if we had the safety nets that we are supposed to have. In fact, I challenge you to test this. Vote for me in 2028. Let me put real doctors in charge of HHS and the FDA. And let's see if the number of hospitalizations goes down. Now, that is all I have for you this week. I hope to have something fun for you next week. Or if not fun, at least educational. Because I hope all of these are somewhat educational. You know, to learn how government is supposed to function, what safety nets we have, what the history of things has been. I know this one has just been a little ranty, and some of them will be. But I hope you come back for another one next week. If you're new here, please like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel to learn more. And if you've been here all along, please continue to like these videos and share them with your friends and help spread the word. Let's see if we can get the numbers up. Get the word out there. Let people know that I am running, that you have a candidate that is one of the people, not a career politician. So long and have a great week.